The third and final DLC pack for Fire Emblem Warriors released on March 29th, 2018. Here I am reviewing it in August of the same year. That's 5 months later. What took so long? Obviously, that's going to be a bit of a long story, but the short answer is that this DLC pack made me want to stop playing this game. Not stop playing Warriors games, mind you. In fact, as I went on to play Hyrule Warriors Definitive Edition for over 300 hours in the early summer, just the thought of switching back over to Fire Emblem Warriors just to make more progress on this DLC made me just about sick to my stomach with stress. Sorry, but this review isn't really going to be like the others, and fittingly so. This DLC pack is an anomaly. I really love some parts of it and think that they partly redeem the previously kind of disappointing Shadow Dragon pack. However, other parts of it make me wish that I'd never decided to commit to reviewing each DLC pack, so that I could have just walked away from this pack precisely when I felt personally done with it, and I would have been much happier. I'll stop beating around the bush and get right to it, and why not start with the positives? The biggest plus of this pack is the addition of Olivia, who has a refreshingly original, fast and fluid sword-based playstyle. Not only is she a lot of fun to use, I think she is one of the best DLC characters added to any Nintendo Warriors games period, likely right up there with Twilight Midna and Young Link from Hyrule Warriors. The thing that I really like about Olivia is that she really commits entirely to the RPG systems that differentiate Fire Emblem Warriors from Hyrule Warriors, meaning that she gains most of her potential through a thoughtful skill build to help sculpt her into a character that is designed to get most of her work done through critical strike rampages, which can only really be accomplished by giving her the right weapon skills and abilities. If you're curious what I mean by all this, I already went into it in my guide for her, so just check out that video if you want to know more. Anyways, although Olivia's personality can get a bit grinding over time, this is not made so bad by the other two additional characters, Owain and Tharja, who, although simply being clone playstyles of Ryoma and Robin respectively, still managed to be really great additions. Tharja's negativity and unique obsessions make her a really fun addition to this cast, although Owain was a bit of a harder sell for me. He might come off as ridiculous and really cringy, but that's kind of what makes him great. His idiotic delusions of grandeur are consistently entertaining to see bounce off the rest of the cast, unlike Olivia's overly modest exotic dancer shtick. So besides the additional characters making this DLC pack good, the rest of the positives here come from the simple fact that Fire Emblem Warriors is a great game. And as long as it sticks to giving us more battles with great characters to use, my disappointment over them again only giving us one unique character and two clones doesn't really bring me down so much. What does bring me down are the two new mission types, one of which is the worst new mode I have ever seen added to a game, Warriors or otherwise. I'm not joking, I am 100% serious about this. So, the first new battle type, which is a standard battlefield mission, sees you needing to kill certain enemies to find out where your allies are trapped, and then to rescue them and finish things from there. It's a little bit tedious, but, it's fine. However, the second new mission type places you on a smaller zone, with 2 villagers to protect, and 2 characters that you can bring into the fight. Oh, sorry, did I say 2? Sorry, that's only the first of these. Most of these missions have 3 villagers for you to protect with your 2 characters. Oh, and by the way, you can only control 1 character at a time. Also, the villagers, they don't fight back, they don't move from where they are, and they can die in seconds when your enemies inevitably reach them. Oh, and the battle is set to a countdown timer that you must wait out in order to finish the battle successfully. Oh, and throughout the fight, other enemy types will spawn, such as area-damaging Thunder Mages and Morale Boosters, all of whom hide on different parts of the map, which are very far away from the villages that you have to protect with your maximum 2 characters. Oh, which means that if you want to take them out, you're going to have to leave your villagers unguarded. If you don't take them out, then your villagers are going to suffer massive damage and likely die really easily a couple minutes on. Oh, and if you let a single villager die, the battle starts over again. The countdown timer full again. I don't think it's unclear that this mission type is the source of most of my frustrations with this content, but give me a moment to back up here and simply ask, why is this content here? If there is one universally hated video gaming trope, it is the escort quest. I'm sure that we've all been there, especially if you've played a reasonable amount of games in your life, where you're fighting alongside your AI companion, thinking about your current goals and strategy when suddenly you're game overed, simply because your AI companion had a sudden, reckless disregard for their own life. It sucks, and what's really bad about this kind of situation is that it often happens completely out of your control. When you fail in an escort mission, the failures often lie less with your actions versus the enemy AI, but rather the enemy's AI versus your friendly AI. As gaming has grown up and evolved, we've seen less and less escort mission type content. and when we have still seen it in recent years, it has adapted to meet current expectations. Just think about games like BioShock Infinite or The Last of Us, which are both essentially a game-long escort mission. However, they're done right, without forcing you into a big fat game over whenever something goes haywire in one of your allies' brains. They don't necessarily do escort missions perfectly, as your ally is pretty much invulnerable, but still, it's not horribly frustrating to be teamed up with another AI during it. Now, you might be thinking, every Warriors battle makes you have to protect someone, why is it so bad here? Well, for most of this game, the only real ally you have to keep safe is your general, which I think is actually fun for a couple reasons. First of all, in Fire Emblem Warriors, you are almost always bringing along a team of 4 characters. You have resources to spare for defense. And in fact, if you didn't know this, it is almost always a great idea to assign one of your playable members to protect the base throughout the entire battle. Secondly, every single enemy in the game doesn't just instantly go right for your home base and try to kill your general every single second of each battle. There are other goals in standard battlefield missions, and as you take and retake keeps and gates, you help to make your defenses stronger so that the enemy AI will have to first wade through your defenders in order to challenge your general in the first place. Lastly, your general is not a f***ing villager. He or she can fight and defend themselves just fine, and except in the cases where they're a Pegasus rider or something going up against a squad of archers, they don't just start losing the fight or die outright if they come up just a little bit of resistance. You have time to realize that your defenses have fallen, and if you book it towards them, you usually have time to save them. There's an ebb and flow of attack and defense, which in my opinion is the core of this entire game series. This push and pull is why these games are so replayable beyond standard reason. Let's bring it back to this villager defense mode. In the majority of these, you 1. Don't have the proper resources to defend your critical allies. 2. Can't rely on your ally to defend themselves or last long enough when under attack in order to properly give you a chance to respond. And 3. Are trapped in this situation as long as the clock keeps ticking down. If this is starting to sound like juggling 5 balls with one arm, that's basically it. The only rational answer I can make as to why this mode is in the game is because they want to promote 2-player mode. I unfortunately didn't have the chance to play this with a second player. However, no other part of this game has needed a second player in order to make it work. It does not justify this mode. Every time I would attempt one of these missions, even if I was successful, I would feel so stressed out and angry from the whole experience that I would just put the game away for a long time. This even happened during one of my boring commutes to work, where I was so pissed after an attempt that I preferred just putting the Switch back into my bag and staring blankly out the window at the subway tunnel walls for an hour straight. Statistically, these missions are only a minor part of the entire DLC experience, but if you have a bowl of delicious apples and one turd that you also have to eat, I doubt that you would call the entire experience pleasant. The only advice that I can give to others that still want to reach the end of the DLC and are currently struggling to get past these is that my little secret that led to victories was to abuse the shit out of this game's Musou mechanics. When you activate your Musou attacks on any characters, all NPC enemies kind of pause what they're doing, whether that's marching from one place to another or landing a finishing blow on one of your villagers. Musou attacks, or special attacks as I usually call them, last a very long time in Fire Emblem Warriors, sometimes 10 seconds or more for each attack. That means if you have 2 characters, both with all 3 stocks full, that's a full minute that you can cheese out of just by pointlessly throwing out your special attacks at nothing in particular. This is a way to get past the crucial final minutes of these challenges, where your healing resources are likely all spent, and one or more villager is likely at critical health and moments away from their untimely death and your inevitable restart. So yeah, in order to deal with a poorly thought out mode, I had to break the game a little bit. No shame. Now, from this point in the review, I could talk about all of the usual things that I would normally include in a DLC review. The costumes, the new Opus weapons, but to be honest, I don't feel super strongly about either of those things. As I was writing out this script, and rewriting out this script, and rewriting out this script, I knew that I felt so strongly about the positives and the negatives that that was what I should really focus on in my review. I just could not muster up the inspiration to talk about the little mundane inclusions that are just an expectation at this point. The one thing that I'll make an exception here for is the kind of loot shop that has been added in this DLC that allows you to reset your character's levels in exchange for a bunch of their silver and gold drops. However, as these do not include the incredibly vital gold drops needed for things like their Opus weapon crests, I never used this feature, and I really didn't see a reason to do so very late in the game. I wish that it had been there from the beginning, or at least the very first DLC pack. So where does that leave us overall? Well, the truth is I tend to flounder on things like giving review scores. I've rather inconsistently given them in the past, and to be honest, I really haven't made up my mind if I want to do them or not on my channel from here. I really have problems rating things like this DLC, where I have a strong appreciation for the base content and the good parts of it, but I feel emotionally and mentally wounded by the experience overall. Obviously, I wish that this pack could somehow be repackaged without the villager defense mode, and even with the 2 clones, I'd be tempted to give it a full recommendation given how awesome Olivia, Tharja, and Owain are. I feel stuck. I don't know how to summarize my overall feelings on this pack. I loved a lot of it. I also kind of never want to touch this section of the game ever again. This delicious apple has got a little layer of shit on top of it. Would you want to eat it again?